running with the Bulls, of the Bulls, for the Bulls.
All right, guys, got a little bit of setup to do real quick. Is that on? Before we start speaking officially, this is sort of inspired by Toastmaster Plummer's speech a couple of weeks ago, where he described his perfect vacation abroad, and it happened to be one that I had already taken. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
He's going to hit all the other vacations and future vacations.
Yeah, yeah. Was it? I think so, or just the right arrow. I'll just let you know. Okay. All right. El Encierro, Matt and Preston run with the Bulls. The summer after my sophomore year at the Citadel, I need to get out of this place. I don't need to tell you guys because, I mean, you've experienced it, but I just needed to go somewhere and wear something that wasn't gray, and so Spain seemed like the natural fit. And so my roommate and I attended a meeting to study abroad in Spain, and at the meeting, the teacher mentioned, sort of as an aside comment, that the running of the Bulls was the week after our program ended. And right then, Preston and I looked at each other. I was like, we got to do this. It's just one of those things, like Plummer said, it's on the bucket list. We just had to. So, we had our minds made up, and we went abroad. We did the whole program there for the summer, and that's a different story. But suffice to say that when we got to Spain, we were extremely tired and broke, just very, very broke. Next slide. So this is Pamplona. It's kind of near the mountains, so it's actually really cold there, especially, or even during the summer. I had to wear a sweater at night, but it's beautiful. So we were just really excited to be there. It didn't matter. Next slide. So when people think of running the Bulls, this is typically what you think of. You got guys in white and red and a bull running down the streets, and that's just all they know. But there's a lot more that goes into the actual running of the Bulls than just the run itself. It's actually a week-long festival, and it goes 24/7. Well, it's actually 23 hours a day, and then they legally have to close for 1 hour to clean everything up because it gets so bad. Next slide. So this is us before the run. We're just excited to be there. Now remember our faces, because we were excited then at the beginning of the night, and as you'll see later on, not so much. Next. All right, so we're at my friend's house, and we're just getting ready and just taking pictures because we got a camera. We got to remember this event. And so we're just pretty excited. We're about to go out on the town. We had dinner around 10 o'clock because that's when people eat in Spain. It's really weird. And so we hit the town, 10 o'clock. Just remember that. Next slide. This is just a quick little thing. This is what we were running in because we had actually no other shoes. So 5 fingers on cobble streets is a horrible idea. Don't ever do it. Next slide. All right, so just a little background. We get out there and we're going to have a good time, because we had a solid plan. We came up with something that was absolutely foolproof, never been done before. We were going to stay and party all night and then go run with the Bulls in the morning. What could go wrong, right? And so we get into the street and everyone else has the same plan, so maybe it's not so original. And we're having a good time. They have concerts playing like all the time. The bars are packed. It's really tough to get a drink sometimes. But it was just really exciting to be there at first. Next slide. What we witnessed in Pamplona the night before the running of the Bulls was pure debauchery at its finest, or worst. I've never seen something quite like it. These people can party nonstop. Well, some of them can. But, and we were not those people. I thought I was, but they were on just a whole nother level. Bacchus, the Roman god of partying, would have been proud. Their parents, probably not so much. Next slide. So, we're about 2 hours in. It's around midnight, and we're, as you are when you're partying, and we were exhausted. We were like, we can't do another 8 hours of this. We had left at 10, and it was already midnight. So we're like, we gotta find somewhere to sleep. And so, people are sleeping around like this, and I just want to, break down the city, the scene a little bit. If you can pick some things up from here. Everyone's in the traditional red and white. the red stains all over is just wine because they have so much alcohol they can't drink it all, so they have wine fights, and they're like these wine skins. So there's people are hammered and just not cognizant of anything that's going on. As you can clearly see, they're just wandering around in sort of a daze, and the street is absolutely filthy. I felt like I was walking through the garbage dump in Star Wars when they're trying to escape. It was kind of like that, and it was awful. The smell of the city was unbearable. It was miserable. It was just beer, urine, all sorts of human, well, you get the point. The stench is so overpowering. The people in the city, they leave after 3 days. So that's all that's left is the people who are come from out of town to actually run with the bulls. The inhabitants, they take a vacation, they can't go anywhere. And I could understand why, because that smell was awful. It's eventually what drove us to leave. Next slide. So as you can see, we're not so happy at this point in the night. Preston needs to sleep, and when he doesn't get it, he gets grumpy. But, sorry, I forgot to mention that earlier. We were going to sleep. We found a nice park bench. It wasn't covered in any trash or urine, beer, all that. It was great. And then in the last picture that we saw, there's a guy going around just sort of pickpocketing people. And I was like, oh, we're not sleeping. We can't. We got to stay up another 8 hours because I can't do this and lose all my money because we had just enough to live. And so we're sort of wandering around in a daze. And the rest of the night's kind of a blur, so I'm just going to get to the morning. Next slide. Yeah, so we found some places to lay down a little bit, but it's a concrete wall, so not much sleep happened there. Next slide. So this is part of one of my favorite parts of the run. Before the run, everyone's standing up, and the police, they go through and they clear out the streets of people who are underage or way too drunk to run because that's a recipe for disaster with bulls. But they missed these two guys, and these two guys are my favorite. The one on the ground, completely asleep. The other guy is doing the knob head bob. You know how it is, but he's asleep and doing this, and it was like a train wreck. I couldn't look away. I watched this guy fall face first into the cobble street, and that's probably bad on me, but I was like 10 feet away, so you get what you get. And blood's just everywhere. But the police come and collect him. They cart him off to a hospital. Everyone cheered. It was great. The guy asleep next to him stayed asleep until the running of the bulls actually started. So, it sucks to be him. But and so we had finally made it. I hadn't slept a wink. We were just exhausted, and the moment of truth is just coming. It's faster and faster. Like they do this chant, this prayer every in increments before the run starts, and people are just getting really excited, and they're from everywhere. People we run into in other cities, and the first rocket goes off, and that's the sign for everyone to sort of start running. And we're jogging. I'm gonna try and finish this up in just a little bit. And everyone's just having a good time. It's a light jog. It's a little bit of panic. I lost Preston, but there's a lot of people. There's supposed to be a second rocket to let you know when the bulls go, but I didn't hear it because there was obviously a lot of people around. And so the light jog turns into a panic, and people are just pushing, elbowing, kicking. People are falling down the streets. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like the bulls haven't even started running yet. I look behind me, and there's a bull, literally where Gret is, and it was about maybe 30 seconds into the run. And I jumped up on a wall, got away. It was awesome, exhilarating. The race itself is actually really fast. You don't get to experience much during that. So what we experienced mostly was the party beforehand. Next slide. And I was going to show you the prayer, but you don't have it. So everyone sort of ends up in this arena, and the bulls come in, and then people just get hurt and massacred, and it's a great time. But and next slide. So we finished it up with, this is my friend Lucas, who we stayed with, and I got a nice leprechaun beard going there. But we had a churros and chocolate. Those are our survivor's breakfast. But it was certainly one of the more memorable experiences when we were in Spain. The stench, we left literally the day after. We got on a bus and we were gone. We went up to Belgium. And that was the running of the bulls experience. And I wish Toastmaster Plummer were here so I could share this with them. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this speech as much as I enjoyed actually doing it.